Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. And for the sanctuary mayors, they are not having a wonderful day. They are in great turmoil. They are in danger because the Congress is coming for their heads. They are not going to be getting the justice that they thought they were getting, and it is fucking hilarious. So without further ado, let's get directly into it. So what we have here from George says, Congress just summoned mayors of prominent sanctuary cities to answer for their crimes. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, Denver Mayor Mike Johnson, New York City Mayor Eric Adams. It's getting real. So that's what's going on here. First, we'll do the actual report here from the Charlotte Sun-Times, which explains other things that's going on. And Johnson does not have a very high approval rating. So if anybody is in the most danger right here, it's Johnson, because the people just really do not like him. Johnson, other sanctuary mayors called to testify on obstructionist policies, but he's not sure he'll show up. Mayor Brandon Johnson said Tuesday he isn't sure if he will show up to testify before Congress, as he and three other big city mayors have been asked to do. All four mayors preside over so-called sanctuary cities, and the demand to appear stems from investigation into local policies are affecting enforcement of President Donald Trump's promise of mass deportations. In a new conference Tuesday, Johnson referred to the question to his corporation counsel, Mary Richardson Lowry, who said the invitation from the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee is under legal review. It would be premature to talk about going on to such time that we properly digested all of the legal issues, as well as the sensitive aspects of the communication from the Oversight Committee is an invitation that we have received. It is not a document that compelled the mayor's testimony, which Lowry said. We're not able to respond directly to your question in terms of whether he will go. It is a communication we will be making a legal determination as to the substance of that communication. Well, then you get arrested, sir. You get put in prison. So if you do not want to show up for Congress and testify and talk about the reason why you're doing this, then perhaps it might be a good idea, Brandon Johnson, to be put in jail. Because we're not going to deal with you crazy, woke, insane mayors getting away with these things, harboring and keeping illegal immigrants and obviously criminals into your cities. Now, for the left that is going to rage and cry about this and what's going on, and where it's like, well, you can't be doing that. See, they're not illegal criminals. It's like, no. Let's put it this way: they're criminals automatically by breaking our laws and entering the country illegally. All right. But they're also criminals for committing crimes such as rape, killings, etc. into our country. So that being said, they're criminals even if you remove the illegal immigrant portion of it. So they're harboring these criminals, they're keeping them, and they're letting them out roam the streets and go commit more heinous crimes. So perhaps it might be a good idea to arrest this man, put him in jail, and say, no, you can't be allowed to just harbor these people and get away with it, right? This is not what you should be allowed to do, right? No. So we have this here. How more comes on to say, sanctuary jurisdictions and their misguided and obstructionist policies hinder the ability of federal law enforcement officers to effectuate safe arrests and remove dangerous criminals from American communities, making Americans less safe, wrote Committee Chairman James Comer in a letter to Johnson on Monday. In addition to the efforts of the Trump administration to ensure federal immigration enforcement can proceed unimpeded, Congress must determine whether further legislation is necessary to enhance border security and public safety. It is not the first threat for the federal government to interject itself into the city's sanctuary city policies. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Rawl, along with 10 other attorneys general, pushed back Thursday on a Department of Justice memo calling for investigations of state and local officials who threatened to impede enforcement of the Trump administration's immigration initiatives. While the federal government may use its own resources for federal immigration enforcement, the court ruled in Prince v. United States that the federal government cannot impress into its service and at no cost to itself the bodies of officers of the 50 states, the Attorney General said in a statement Thursday. The president has made troubling threats to weaponize the U.S. Department of Justice's prosecutorial authority and resources to attack public servants, acting in compliance with their state laws, interfering with their ability to build trust with the communities they serve and protect. So, see, that's true if it wasn't for the mere fact that this was not a federal thing. See, so what we have here is that you have your state laws, right? You have your state laws, and you have your local laws, etc., right? But it's a bit different when we're talking about federal laws, you see, because this makes it more pliable to be, okay, well, we have a federal law, so we're going to go and enforce that federal law because it's federal law. So I don't see how this is a problem with it. I would assume that the President of the United States, Harris, says that the federal government was trying to enforce laws that were not done federally, and they were mostly for local laws. But that's me making an assumption. I have not read the case, so I cannot say. However, this is federal law, and I would assume that this would be a good idea to probably enforce them. So it goes on to say here that the Chicago Coalition Organized Communities Against Deportation was denied a request for an emergency hearing or injunction in this lawsuit against the Trump administration for its mass deportation plan. So they already failed there. With a federal district judge saying the groups had been the target of federal immigrant efforts. Their suit cites First Amendment violations due to the fear caused by the threat of and later execution raised by federal immigration authorities. Well, it can't be First Amendment violations because they're not trying to speak anything, and then they're not trying to violate any of the religious holdings or what have you, so there's no violations of the First Amendment. So I don't know where they're going that with this. What they're doing is they're enforcing federal law that says that we're going to arrest the illegal immigrants and deport them. So there is no violation of the First Amendment. The First Amendment doesn't even defend that. In his denial, Federal District Judge Edmund E. Chang raised questions about the need for an emergency hearing, given the plaintiffs weren't the targets of the raids themselves. According to court documents, Chang said the already expedited schedule for briefings remains the right course. Before the request for an emergency order, the government was required to respond to the suit by noon Wednesday. According to court documents, no hearing has been set as of yet, but I'm assuming there will be. We have this here as well where some of these things are going to say. Now, I'm not going to go over all of them because it's essentially the same bloody thing, right? There is no difference between this. So all I'm going to do is just read the actual thing that's here because, well, they're all the same thing, just declaring for each different mayor that it is. So we're just going to do the mayor, Dear Mayor Johnston. The Committee on Oversight and Government Reform is investigating sanctuary jurisdictions across the United States and their impact on public safety and the effectiveness of federal efforts to enforce the immigration laws of the United States. Sanctuary jurisdictions and their misguided and obstructionist policies hinder the ability of federal law enforcement officers, to effectuate a safe arrest and remove dangerous criminals from American communities, making Americans less safe. Denver is a sanctuary jurisdiction that refuses to fully cooperate with federal immigration enforcement. To provide much-needed oversight of this matter, the committee requests documents and information related to the sanctuary policies of Denver. Additionally, we invite you to testify at a public hearing on the matter before the committee on February 11, 2025. So that's a couple of weeks away. ET in room ABC 210 of the U.S. House Visitor Center. Sanctuary jurisdictions are states and counties or cities that put some limits on how much they are willing to cooperate with federal agencies. Efforts to deport illegal aliens. These jurisdictions take it upon themselves to decide what laws they will and will not abide by, all for the purpose of shielding illegal aliens, especially criminals, from federal law enforcement. There are about 12 states and hundreds of cities and counties with sanctuary laws or policies across the country. 4 cities, however, stand out in their abject failure to comply with federal law: Chicago, New York, Denver, and Boston. Citizens of all 4 cities have suffered due to the sanctuary policies. Yes, because as we know, there have been a bunch of people that have died due to this or been raped because of this, and things need to be heard. Things need to be dealt with. And the sanctuary people have to be answered, right? And again, we have this here to where, like, oh, we're not going to show up. Well, then you just arrest them. Because your whole point here is to testify and say what your reasoning is and why you want to prevent this from happening or why you're doing this. You have to explain your reasoning. And if you're not going to go explain your reasoning onto why you're doing this or why you're enacting these policies, well, then I guess you just get arrested, because our best assumption is why you're not showing up is what criminals, why wouldn't show there for their court dates, etc., is because you are known to do something bad. You are known that you are doing something that harms the community or the public for this matter, and you're just automatically denying it. So therefore, we're just going to arrest you, assume that you're a criminal, have you actually forcefully testify in court after you're arrested to explain your reasoning, and then you'll be released from jail if your reasonings are sound and there is merit that you're actually protecting the people. But until then, we're willing to let you go to court and justify not being in jail. But if you're not going to do this, then we're just going to arrest you. So play these games, Democrats. Play these games, because I know the Trump administration is not. This is Congress acting or asking this question, wanting you guys to get in, and we'll see how it goes, because you're not playing with no Sleepy Joe or government president so zombie in the White House. You're dealing with a big boy now, and now you're gonna have to deal and answer for your crimes and these questions. All right, guys, that's this video. Like, share, as always. Take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.